Right around the tank.
That was.
Can everyone please turn on their microphones?
Mhm. Yeah. So we heard from Lisa. And didn't ask for Hayden. Okay.
Looks like it's, you have a pretty strong voice.
It's not 1 o'clock.
Anybody need any water? You guys are good?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody's smiling over there. It's all good. Smiling over here. Thank you for the water. Anticipation is palpable. Ready to go. We're like thoroughbreds. Bye. There we go. 1 o'clock. Okay, it is 1 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, welcome. Let's begin with roll call. I am present. Bill Shute, Bill Stewart,
Here.
Lisa Hoffman. See if Lisa's running a little late. James.
Present.
Hello, James. Julie.
Here.
Welcome, Julie.
Thank you, everyone.
And Josh and Carlene are here, but we will not need to seat alternates. So just as part of the roll call, I don't know if I can make a comment or not, but Julie, welcome. When I came to this committee the very first time, you were sitting right here and you were so nice to me and helped me get involved with the water district. And it's fun to have you back on this committee and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. It's my honor to serve. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so item number 4, not required to seat alternates. All right, let's go to item 5, additions, deletions, amendments to the agenda.
None here.
None from staff.
None from committee? Okay. All right. You guys have the agenda for today in front of you. You guys take a peek at that, and then if I could have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve. Second.
Okay. James moves and Bill seconds. All in favor? Aye. All good?
All good. Thank you.
Great. All right, item 7, public comment. Do we have members of the public?
We do not have any members of the public online.
Okay, anything submitted ahead of time?
I have not received anything.
Okay. All right, then we're going to skip over any statements. All right, moving on to item 8, the approval of the December 17th minutes. You guys should have that as well. You take a peek.
I'll move to approve the minutes as drafted. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I'm sorry. Was the second by Miss
Same order,
Stewart?
James and Bill.
Thank you.
1-2 punch.
There we go. And the ayes have it. All right, let's get to right on to item 9, comments, requests, general managers, comments.
So just one quick thing, because we have a rather large presentation today and it's a good one. Jake wanted me to pass along that he's working with the other general managers at Valley Center, FPUD and Rancho about a mutual aid agreement in regards to when we share resources and kind of solidify how that reimbursement process would take place. And a good example of that is last week, some of our staff met with FPUD staff to talk to them about how we respond to wildfires, kind of compare notes and lessons learned between the two agencies. And I think that's a great partnership that we have with them. We're going to try and extend that to Valley Center and Rancho as well. So that should be going to the board. It's a mutual aid agreement. It's pretty common for agencies to share resources in times of need. We've had Oceanside come help us when we had too many main breaks. So it's things of that nature. But yeah, just to pass that along.
Great.
It's excellent.
That's all I have.
Any
Regional.
Any questions from the committee about mutual aid agreement?
All good. I mean, we saw the results of it, even with the LA fire. I mean, it's unbelievable how many fire companies showed up to fight those horrific fires.
Mhm.
And, you know, could have been worse, actually, but given the circumstances. So I think that at one point there was 350 fire companies. I think so.
That's a lot.
From 5 states, all over California as well. And it proved to be very, if nothing else, they saved a lot of lives in the process by creating great notifications and getting into the communities ahead of the fire as it was progressing, and did terrific work there. Having practiced people tackling your problems is a huge deal. The mutual aid is a great advantage to everybody.
Sure.
I have a comment.
Mhm.
I would like to commend Rainbow and the other regional water districts to do this formally, because it's been occurring informally for some time. But this is to be recognized through our county and through our state, and maybe that is becoming a regional effort, and it's stabilized, and it is already, it is confirmed that we're going to work together. So
Mhm.
excellent job.
Thank you.
Okay, well, and I think once that agreement gets done, that'll be a great opportunity to communicate that to the public as well. So that's good. Excellent. Okay, well, that really takes us right into committee member comments. James, would you like to kick us off?
You know, this may also include item number 18 in terms of agenda items for our next meeting. But I think I'd like to ask staff if they could take a look at the idea of looking at other water districts in the state of California that are similar in size in terms of the amount of customers we have, and get an idea of what kind of rate increases those districts have created on their users or their customers over the last year or two, and compare it to Rainbow's, because I think we have a great story to tell, but unless we compare it to what else is happening in California, I think it's just another way of us to be able to communicate with facts to our customers to realize how lucky they are that they're in Rainbow Water District. We have such a great story and the staff has done such a great job, but it's one of those things where, you know, we don't tout ourselves on the performance that we've been able to achieve. And so I would recommend that we take a look at that in terms of rate increases, and then maybe report back at our March meeting on what they found.
How would you compare that to, some of the communication that's gone out recently with kind of comparing about how we were able to minimize cost increases to the ratepayers compared to some of the stuff that was going on down in San Diego Water Authority?
Yeah, I think what we did in the past was really just more of a localized effort of how our measure, getting it approved, reduced our water rates because we got a different supplier.
Mhm.
But from a comparative standpoint, really to get into the entire state, because this entire state has some issues. And I think it might be helpful to see more of a global.
Apple for apple kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Other
Yeah, I
comments?
mean, I'm not suggesting we compare it to LADWP because that would be apples and oranges, but if we get similar size,
Mhm.
it might be very, very helpful to see how proactive the board has been and staff in implementing savings to our customers. And so that's just a suggestion.
Anything else, James?
Yep.
Bill?
No, no, just.
Julie?
Well, I just wanted to share about the ribbon cutting of the Bonzel Community Park Day at 10 o'clock. Many were there. It was just wonderful. Our county supervisor was there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was very good. And I think one thing, there may have been not even awareness that this was happening. So when I do hear of things, I will make sure that who should I share this with?
You should, with me and Amanda.
Okay, okay. Because I assumed that everyone knew, but this is a very good point that you did not know.
Ribbon cuttings sometimes are invitation only too, so it depends on the agency, but yeah, if you're aware, yeah.
Everyone was there. We had kids, it was great.
And where's this park?
It is the old golf course.
Yep.
That the county has purchased some of the land
Mhm.
and they are doing a community park that has.
So right across from the elementary school, kind of, sort of.
Yes, and so the schools are going to be utilizing in the community. So,
Nice.
yeah, it was good.
Excellent. Okay. Other comments that you'd like to share? Is that it? All you got?
That's it. That's all I have.
Okay. My only comments are, I just wanted to, Josh, I was mentioning, I called into the call center and I love the callback feature. It's wonderful. When you call in, it lets you know where you are in queue and it may estimate. I'm not sure if it estimates how long you're going to wait or not. But as soon as that happens, it immediately kicks over. I guess in this situation, there were 3 callers ahead of me. It immediately kicks over and says the wait time you've experienced is longer than expected or something to that extent. Would you like a callback?
Right.
So if you can change that language, I think if you're going to trigger it immediately, which sounds like it's an immediate trigger, it's not waiting for 3 minutes and then doing it.
I see.
It was just, there was a little cognitive dissonance going on in my brain. I get it. I'd like the opportunity to call back, but I hadn't waited 2 seconds yet and it was offering it to me.
Right.
So it wasn't more than I expected. So that's a nit. I don't know how hard it is to change those things, but if you're going to trigger it right away, say, hey, we've got this great option, and throw it out there right away, or you can stay holding if you want, type of a thing. I don't know. It's not that big of a deal, but I just noticed it. So I thought I'd share.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. I'll get with our go-to the vendor that we use and see if that's like an option, if you could change that language.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks. So, and my only other comments were, I'm glad everybody was safe and nothing bad happened last meeting with the fires and the evacuations and all that stuff that happened. It was just like deja vu all over again, from Lilac. Again, commend, hats off, heli hydrant and just the improvement. I don't know how you guys in the overall joint agencies grade themselves on response time and ability to engage in an incident like that. But where there were 2, I think there were like 2 helicopters with night vision hitting that thing at like 3:30 in the morning. That was huge, right? That an 80-something acre fire was engaged on so quickly, because if it had run that ridge, I mean, it was, anyway, luckily the winds weren't as bad as they could have been. So anyway, I was glad that you guys communicated out real quick. Let everybody know that it wasn't safe to come here. But it was nice to see resources and work that the district has done be put into practice and utilized so quickly on that one. So in sharp contrast to other things. So it was nice to see.
think we'll talk about a little bit further into the presentation. We'll cover,
Great.
give you some more details on that. We gave an update to the board, but since the last meeting happened the day of the fire, we haven't given the committee an update yet. So.
Got it.
Perfect.
I was about to ask that question, maybe have, you outline all the things that go into action as far as you're concerned and all of our operations folks. When a nearby fire occurs.
Yep.
That would be great to hear.
Okay.
Yeah, we have that as part of the media stories.
Yeah.
They did a feature on us in the Village News and the mutual aid that we provided after the Eaton fire. So we can talk more about it when we get to that agenda item.
Great. Okay.
Mhm.
So moving on to item 10, appointment or reappointment of committee chairperson and vice chairperson. So how do we do this? I don't remember from last year. What's the process? Do we take nominations? What do you guys think?
I'd like to nominate Bill Shute to be our continuing chairperson.
I
Second.
second or third it.
Okay,
There
I
you
guess
go.
we have
Comes the railroad.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that was easy and awkward. Okay. Um,
Awkward.
And now we move on to vice chairperson.
Well, I guess we nominate Bill Stewart to continue serving as vice president. Or
Vice
vice
chair.
vice
I'll
chair.
second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Bill, you good with that?
I am.
Okay, there we go. We're done.
Easy peasy.
Okay. Item 11, review and discuss the strategic communications plan. Ooh, my favorite topic.
Okay, so you've had lots of time to digest this because
Yeah.
it was sent out for the January committee meeting that got canceled because of the fire evacuation. So I have a lot of slides for this, but the slides essentially duplicate the order of the plan itself, just to keep us on track in terms of
Mhm.
what pages we're on, so you can provide any notes that you had as you read through it. And staff can, take our notes on the feedback and anything that we need to update.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so just some history in terms of how the plan was developed. About a year ago, we had a workshop, a discovery session with stakeholder feedback that included staff, board members, committee members, a content we performed an internal content review. SWOT analysis was part of that workshop. We've also done demographic research, channel assessment. And then we looked at the goals, our tactical planning, resource allocation. This is kind of what took the longest, was developing that part of the plan and then putting it all into the final document. So Sierra is here. She's our communications intern, and she helped with part of the document development process as well, with all of the feedback that we had gathered. This is just a review. This isn't in the document, but as part of that workshop, we did a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for both our communications in general, as well as our customer service. And so the notes that were taken from the workshop related to that informed the tactical plan and the key messages and the audiences and everything that went into the plan document. So the plan components, we have the executive summary, guiding principles, which are specific to the communications plan, but an adaptation of our core values. We have a brand statement and reiteration of the district-wide mission statement, and then how that applies to our communications, target audiences, district narrative, the key messages, goals, tactical recommendations, communication toolbox, and then what are the metrics. So the executive summary is on page 3. The highlights of that are essentially kind of, this is the, why are we doing this? Why are we bothering to develop this plan? It's because even when we're silent, we're still sending a message. Whether we're just not controlling the narrative if we're not putting thought and intention behind what we do. So that's the purpose of the plan, is to kind of get the committee and the board's input and feedback and agreement, that consensus that these are the things that are important that we're going to say and who we're going to engage with and how we're going to do it. We try to balance our aspirational goals with the realities of the resources available to us, knowing that we have very limited staff and budget to execute. And it's a group effort. So it's not just staff, it's not just the board or the committee. We're all in this together. And then finally, it's something that will have to be a living document because the way we communicate and who our customers are continues to evolve. So any specific feedback on the executive summary?
If you could make communication bold, I know I'm being being silly here, but boy, I mean, it's obviously this is what we do or we're supposed to be doing, and this is what this whole strategic plan's about. But I can't stress the importance of communication and collaboration. And I know you kind of tuck it under teamwork, right? And it's all part of that. But I mean, just from my professional experience, just recently, I had an organization that was not at optimal functioning, and it all boiled down to the ability of the team members to communicate and to collaborate and to share and to help and to ask, you know, for help and all that. And some of these things that you guys live and breathe it, we're talking about it, but throughout the organization, if it's not happening, if it's not core, the absolute core, and then so many other things don't happen. It's just, it feels like it just needs to jump out of the page. So that was just but no question. Go ahead.
And I have to concur with Bill. Actually, in my review, I have starred and underlined the opening statement on paragraph 4 because of that. I think it's critical. I'm not even sure if it should be higher, but
Well, I mean, they started. I'm just saying it's just so
Yeah,
important. It
it's
feels
so
like it
critical.
just wants to jump out on the page.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree.
Continue.
But I thought the summary was excellent.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
A question, how do we convey, take the basic tenets of our communication plan and put it out to the community in a way that they're likely to, that some percentage of them at least are likely to read it. It's kind of like, you know, how many people in your subdivision ever read your CC&Rs?
Right.
I would tell you.
This is way
nobody.
better than us.
Not
I would-
a soul.
I would say our
How do
general,
we do it?
I would say they're not the target audience for this document. The target audience for this document is primarily for internal guidance. And so, and then the tactical recommendations that this document suggests is what our target audiences will see, is what the community will see, our ratepayers, the ag customers. This is kind of, it'll be available on our website for people to look at if they so desire. And so it'll be available, but I would say the components of the execution of the plan is what they'll see rather than the plan itself.
When this is completed, will it be available in multiple languages? Or which languages will it be available?
We had not intended to do that, but we could do that. We could do it in Spanish. That's the language we have internal resources to translate to. So,
Okay.
and that we have, you know, some customers that would do. But again, because the intended audience for this document is internal staff, that's why that wasn't part of our plan. Okay, so moving on to
Good question.
page 4, that's our guiding principles. So we adapted our 4 core values that were identified, it's almost 8 years ago now, to how that would translate to how we're going to communicate with our customers. So, or all of our audiences. So any specific feedback on the way that we've suggested to adapt that to our communications plan?
You know, I think these core principles are great to identify, and I think it would be a helpful process tool for every time we touch one of our customers, whether it's the phone, whether it's our newsletters, our website, that we just double check. Are we communicating with integrity, with professionalism, with responsibility, teamwork, innovation? You know, just because, you know, guiding principles are there for a reason. And so I think it's a good double check for us to to look at that as we're preparing, you know, our calendars and our documentation, because it goes back to a foundational element here. So I would recommend, I mean, I think our communications team is doing a great job from where we were before and where we're at now, but this is really, I think, helpful to reinforce.
Thank you. Any other comments on page 4? All right. So moving on to the brand statement and mission. So we've kind of built upon something that we kind of put on some of our printed collateral that we've been using at events like the Avocado Festival. It was actually kind of a tagline that Amanda came up with, helping our community grow since 1953. We came up with that for the 70th anniversary. But we really like the play on words with growth, having kind of the double meaning of agriculture as well as our community growing, the residences, and just the way that our community has evolved over the past 7 decades. So that's kind of what we were focusing on. And then we have the mission statement for the district as a whole, which still includes water reclamation service, which we don't actually provide. That was something that the board, you know, had wanted in our mission statement when they identified it again about 8 years ago as an aspirational part of our mission. And they've invested in a few studies on whether to do that. And so far it hasn't really made financial sense to our ratepayers, but as of now, it's still part of our official mission statement. So it's in there.
And quick question, on the website anywhere, does there is any kind of a segmentation of our ratepayers by location? Like, do we know how many people in Oceanside we're providing service to?
We have it, we know by division because we look at that when we redraw the divisions after the census. But I don't know that we know how many are actually in Oceanside or those kind of like that kind of unincorporated area near Vista. And I don't know if we know.
We just don't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
But
Is that accurate, Ahmed?
If we wanted to, we can.
We could.
by zip code or by zip code or?
We have the site addresses for each of the parcels, so we can,
Right.
yeah. we
When
can
you did that
pull
one
it up.
analysis, I imagine you
In the
just
division.
pivot table that out, right?
Yes, yep.
Got it. I was just curious because we don't normally, we think Rainbow and Ballbrook, Rainbow.
Right.
Ballbrook,
Boston,
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Boston,
yeah.
right? But,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, we do touch on those areas.
Vista Ocean.
I think to Bill's category thing, also, I think it's important to update what is the, you know, the number of residential customers and what is the number of agricultural customers. Because you know, people tend to look at their own bill like everybody's like this and or their neighbors are like this. And I think it's helpful to continue to educate our customer base that we're really serving two different groups here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you look, it depends on how you look at it. If you look at through the number of individual connections, then residences, you know, outweigh ag by a long shot. But if you look at total revenue and total water purchases, then, you know, ag is about 65% of our revenue base.
And
So
That's
that's a
good to
very,
communicate.
this,
it's
you
good
know.
to communicate.
Yeah.
And on that note, Carlene, I don't have suggestion, but I would request that maybe your team on the first paragraph, there's one sentence that I would encourage just a little bit more looking into it to make sure it's communicating what you want.
Okay, which one is that?
Building on our ag roots, we support farmers, households, and businesses as they embrace efficient, sustainable water use. They're, you know, they're all ratepayers, but we've narrowed it down to 3 specific groups. And I think it could maybe just need a little bit more work because we want to make sure we're including everyone who's a ratepayer. I don't have the answers, but if you could, your team maybe look at it, they've done such a great job on this that
I think
maybe.
you do.
I think that does actually include all of our
household.
ratepayers
Okay,
because
does
we
it?
have
Okay.
ag covered, we have residents with ag, and we have commercial. And those, am I missing anything, Robert?
So households,
Little.
is that residential households? Is that
That's
what
the
you're?
way I interpret
Does
it.
any household?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, then maybe it's fine. Okay, that was the one I just thought.
I made a note that we can look at it
Okay,
later.
just
and
look
think
at it.
about Yeah.
I mean, like versus, whether apartment complexes or a house versus a condo, are you thinking like that? Or are you just, what are you thinking?
I just looked at it and I just would appreciate looking back at it to make sure we're inclusive to all.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we are because I don't have that demographic expertise,
Got it.
but just to look at it again. Sure. To be inclusive.
Okay. Any other notes on page 5?
You know, what was interesting to me on page 5 here was helping our community grow is such a great phrase. And I'm thinking for future programs for the year ahead. It might be helpful to investigate whether it makes sense for the district to hold some actual workshops. They have a great room at the Fallbrook Library that's for free. It holds quite a few people and you might want to do a workshop for farmers, or you might want to do a workshop and invite our customers to, getting a great speaker that would help on, what's the latest new farming practices that are going on today. And maybe we could get somebody to sponsor that, so it's at no cost to the district, but it wouldn't cost very much to, I think, underwrite that, but to be a little more proactive at initiating
Outreach?
yeah, outreach. And native plants is the real big deal. And there's a lot of really good people in Southern California that are experts on native plants. That once they're established, they don't need water and, and actually get more engagement so people can start considering some of that. And that also, these workshops could then be a great opportunity to then share some of the other programs that are available, like Crop Swap, have the applications that, might be available, or any other grant programs, or what did you have that saved a lot of water?
Oh, you're talking about the monitoring?
Yeah, some stuff like that that just might be another way to physically engage rather than just trying to do it online.
Like a quarterly town hall-y kind of a thing?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lot of town halls with attachment, and I was very pleased on the amount of engagement the community got. Obviously, it was a very hot topic, but we had some right there in that room you're talking about. So I don't know, maybe it's something to consider where we partner with FPUD, and we do some kind of a quarterly outreach where we have a chance to bring somebody in, right? I'm part of the Small Wine Grape Growers Association in Temecula, and they meet on Mondays once a month. And they usually bring in speakers from UC Davis and all kinds of stuff. And there's such great resources. And these are all either grad students, professors, or they're, almost professors kind of a thing. And they've got all these great studies from, IPM to, all these other best practices. So I would think, maybe that would be an opportunity they would probably jump at. And others, maybe we don't have to carry the whole burden, but can help.
We do have the opportunity to use resources available through Met. There's a Green Gardens group that hosts workshops. We actually just got invited today to one that's going to be at Oceanside because they have space available. A lot of the time with these workshops is you have to meet a minimum threshold for attendees. So when they do not, they invite all of us in the surrounding area to open
get
it
there.
up. Yeah. So that would be our only obstacle, is guaranteeing that we can have a minimum 45 people in attendance.
Gotcha, depending on who's speaking,
Yeah.
like that type of thing. Okay, well, just maybe take it as a noodle,
Yeah. No, I
something to
it's
think
great.
about.
I have a question. How are the ratepayers notified in these events?
This event we just received today, so we will place a little blurb in the newsletter to get the word out, and then we'll put it on our website. But this is a March 19th event, so it gives us a really tiny
Yeah.
window to be able to advertise. We can definitely put it in our billing statement at the top, the invoice message there.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any opportunity, so many websites today say, if you want to subscribe to to newsletters or other information, send us your email. And so when we have different events, we already have a list of emails that we can just
Yeah.
stop. Yeah, so that it might be good to start collecting that database. And for short notice stuff, that's a great way to get people notified the next day.
Yeah, we've had a uptick in our subscription rate since all of our emergency planning information went out.
Yeah, that's right.
So we do have a pretty good list to distribute.
Excellent.
Excellent.
What percentage of our ratepayers, do we have email addresses?
That have subscribed right now, we're just over, I think it's 1,100. We had a strong response over the past month. But overall, we can email all of our ratepayers. They're enrolled in our.
You don't know what percent the total is, but
Customers that have their email.
that would be interesting to know.
Maybe like 12% or
See
something.
How extensive those notices are. Are they getting 80% or 85%? I would kind of expect so by now. Most people are getting a lot of their news that way.
Right.
So they're more accustomed to it than they were 5 years ago. They still didn't want to give their email address out to anybody. But that'd be very, very interesting to know what an email blast can do for us in terms of getting the word out to everybody. And by the way, the communities I've been involved in, they had, email blast information. It is incredibly important not to overuse it.
Mhm.
They don't want to see something in their email every week from Rainbow. So we need to prioritize what we're going to do in that regard. Because before you know it, they start deleting us.
Or
Well,
if they
that's-
report us as spam, then our email addresses start getting
Yeah.
blocked.
Just not-
So.
Yeah, so it
It's
can
more
be,
complex.
Yeah.
it can be overused, but to take them to better communication is a great objective. So you have, you want to rate increases or rate studies, that sort of thing, they're all, got their full attention. And sometimes annual reports, going out that way, of course. And so would opportunities to learn more about, things involving the district. So. And gotta go through that, and the staff needs to really think about what the priorities are in terms of using that.
Right.
Well, I think if we go further in the document, I think we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
And we are on brand statement of mission. So let's, my only takeaway or ask on this one is it really, and I don't know if we already have this. If we do, just tell me. But from this whole conversation, what I really got was, it almost begs for one of those, I had the word, what are those
An infographic.
infographic about who our ratepayers are, where they live, who uses the water, how our residents, and ratepayers have grown over the years. Just something to, if you said, if I wanted visually to get a feel for who Rainbow is and who makes up our community. And I could just see some really beautiful, colorful graphs popping out on that. And, it could be in a flyer, it could be on the webpage, something like that. I think that'd be neat. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right, continue.
Hey, so moving on to target audiences. So at the workshop that we had with our stakeholders, they identified our primary, secondary, and tertiary audiences. So there's two groups of primary audiences, the internal and external. So internal would be the board, committee, volunteers, staff, and then external is residents, which includes both our ratepayers and the sub-metered residents who live in our district, but the bill is paid through their HOA or a community association, and then our ag ratepayers. So those are our primary. So for each one, we've written down their needs, interest, and influence. This was things that we discussed at the workshop that we did. Secondary audiences, the county, our local Indian tribes, the local schools, media, neighboring agencies, elected officials and HOAs. And then the tertiary audiences is future job applicants, our community groups, developers, real estate agents, contractors, industry groups, and then parents of students who might participate in some of our local school events. So there's this actually spans several pages in the document itself with a lot of notes. Like most of these notes are directly from that workshop.
Yep.
Are there any comments or suggestions about, you know, this group of pages? I think 5 pages, 6 through 11.
I mean, I think you guys did a great job working that whole process and collecting all this information and then organizing it. Obviously, you know, from a prioritization standpoint, that's not the intent here, but the only thing that jumps out at me is around local elected officials. I think just from a communication strategy standpoint, we can't let up on that audience. We have a great supervisor, but sounds like he's shooting for a higher office.
Right.
And so who knows who what happens and who our next supervisor is. And it certainly has served the district and the ratepayers very well to have and to be actively engaged and communicating well with our local elected officials because of the great work everybody's done and the involvement and his office and his being able to participate in different things, whether it's ribbon cutting or whatever happens to be. So I think that's one of those things that it shouldn't be just like we tagged it and said, oh yeah, and our elected officials, that's something we should be really focused on because I think it's critically important, not to the detriment of anything else, but just apply a little focus.
I'd also like to bring up the fact that as a district, we have to grow. And we have a limited amount of land available in our district. And so the developer category, I think, is important. And I think we have to evaluate what is happening. Is it easy for developers to get service to the homes they want to build on? You know, I don't see us necessarily getting a big ag producer to come in and all of a sudden have, you know, bring in, you know, 1,000 acres of new production or things that are gonna work. So I think a lot of our growth, since we have fixed costs, the lower our number of customers are, the more costlier things are gonna be. So if we can spread our costs over more people. So I think even though developers tend to have a negative connotation in terms of traffic impacts and environmental impacts, I think we have to take a look at how easy or how difficult is it for people to get a will serve letter to say, I want to bring on 500 homes, and what is it going to cost for me to be able to develop that? Because quite frankly, I see that's one area that we could possibly grow in. Not that I'm a big proponent of that, but I think we have to be at least cognizant of that as a way to spread some of our fixed costs.
Really about how open and inviting are we to that target audience,
Right.
And how we compare to other areas around us.
And what the one answer to that question is we did become slightly more attractive to developers with detachment because the San Diego County Water Authority adds significant capacity fees that we were having to pass on to our customers. So when detachment became effective, our capacity fees went down by about 40% because that was the portion that had been sent to the water authority that we no longer have to send to them for new development in our area, whether that's someone, you know, buying land and building one residence or a whole development. So
Is that something that we actively communicate out to the people that
we did include it in a lot of the detachment related communications that we did, but I don't know if we've done any targeted outreach to developers or
might
or
be
anything
helpful,
like that.
right?
The existing developers that we've been working with for, let's say, 10 years, like Ocean Breeze. It used to be called Campus Park West. We gave them the heads up on the different, because they haven't purchased any meters yet, right? They haven't even started development. So, and there's another component to that too. When developers come in, so trying to make it enticing, there's a thing when if we use the 1,000 home example, anything over 500 homes, they have to do a water and wastewater study. So that's part of their project, is to present their study to us, and then we as a district decide, okay, does your study, what it does is it tells us what offsite improvements they're willing to make. So then that's where some of that haggling begins, and their engineer says, well, we don't need to run that 24-inch line to feed the development. And yes, you do need to run that 24-inch line. So there's some added costs in there. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. I know Ocean Breeze, we've been working with them for at least 10 years to get them in. And we just got an updated water and sewer study from them.
Does the district, this is off topic here, I'm sorry, but it just hit me. Does the district get involved in community facility districts or CFDs where you work with the developer to have some of the costs of the water improvements in a CFD?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've done that in the past.
And a lot of those conversations occur on the engineering operations committee.
Oh, okay.
Which you're welcome to sit in on.
Yeah, you are welcome. No,
Okay.
I mean,
this is very informative, James.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage everybody in the committee to spend time at least in one committee, the other committees once, just to see what's going on. I think that would probably be a great idea.
I-
Even if you can't attend live, the replays are available on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Okay. great.
So if you wanted to go back, even if you wanted to go back and watch former communications committee meetings,
Oh,
but,
joy.
or, yeah, any of them. If you wonder how something, how one conversation went, you can go back and watch it.
Thank
all right.
you.
All right,
um,
keep going.
Any additional feedback on the target audiences pages?
Yeah, I just had one.
Okay,
In the external audiences category, on both residents and agricultural ratepayers, we kind of talk around it, but basically, I think that under interests and possibly needs, we should say water waste detection. We have been pushing that for quite a few years now. We still have those, the capability to sell them the water system that we all used. And that has been an objective. So we don't say that explicitly, but water waste detection is one of the things we're trying to help them do through, what do we call those?
The
things?
flume.
The flume.
Device.
The
Actually,
flume.
that was in the
Yeah.
newsletter just recently.
But in terms of objectives, and our interests and needs under this category, I think we ought to say water waste detection. And add that. Either in the need category or in the interest category.
yeah, I think where we have it alluded to is the water use efficiency is the terminology we've been using.
Yeah,
So,
and that really doesn't. Yeah, that I don't think defines what we're doing.
Okay.
And that was the only thing I found that didn't align with everything else that you've done.
all right, so we're ready to move on to the next section,
No, I want to go back to page 5.
page 5.
No, I'm kidding. Keep-
Okay, all right, district narrative. So this is page 13.
Mhm.
So this is a high level overview, the key points in the narrative section. We've been a part of the community since 1953. We want to be respectful of our agricultural roots and farmers' current needs, while also adapting to evolving community and residents' competing needs and interests. Where part of our brand is being a small, agile agency, where we balance innovation with our resource constraints. We're cost conscious, service minded, customer centric. We empower customers to make informed decisions. And we want to be a trusted community partner. So those are the key highlights of that section. Any feedback on just before we get into the key messages part of that page? All right, sounds good.
Are we planning to go through the entire plan today?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, we're already halfway done, more than halfway.
And if I stop asking questions or making comments, it'll go quicker.
is this our first read or final read?
This is the first read.
Okay,
This is the first read. So we've had conversations a couple of times. So we did the workshop last February. We presented the kind of the summary of the workshop to the committee in April. We did another recap in August when we had a new committee member to kind of bring him up to speed. And then this is the full written documents. This is the first time we're getting this level of detailed feedback on the full written
Thank
document. All right, so the key messages, pages 13 to 16. So we took a look at each of the target audiences, what their, needs, interests, influence was, and kind of synthesize those together to come up with the key messages. So there's 8 high-level messages, and then within each one, there's the examples that we're going to integrate into the communications that we develop. So we do this by so just for the first, I'm not going to read aloud all 8, but just for the first one, we deliver reliable, high value service. We provide high quality water and wastewater services at a fair price, ensuring customers receive excellent value. We do this by delivering safe and reliable water imported from hundreds of miles away for less than 1 penny per gallon. Maintaining and upgrading infrastructure to meet or exceed water quality regulations, and sharing clear, transparent information about rates and ongoing investments. So there's multiple intended audiences for this message, and it lists which of the core values and guiding principles it's in alignment with. So,
Carlene, will we be receiving a copy of this PowerPoint?
we can. It's just a summary of what's in the plan document, though.
It should
so-
be posted as part of the
Yeah.
meeting minutes, right?
I
On the
think
website.
Therese routinely does that.
Okay, as long as we
So-
have a copy of it, that'd be great, because I like to review both.
Because
Yeah.
okay, it's just following along with the
Right.
pages, yeah. Right, so pages 13 to 16 has the detail for each of these key messages. Is there any specific feedback on these?
Since we've been implementing fire protection, I wonder if there should be somewhere, is that somewhere slid into any of these?
I think it's probably not as overt as you might be looking for, but the number 6 and number 7, we care about our community and building strong partnerships is, I think, where that was on our mind.
You're talking about cross-agency stuff?
Yeah, like the
Well,
mutual aid agreement and our
Yeah,
risk
the mutual aid agreement.
preparedness.
The helicopter
Yeah.
spot we have that
Mhm.
really helps.
We've actually implemented some of those changes already on our website. We have an emergency info section under resources. And within there is how the district stays prepared. And it helps alleviate a lot of the concerns that our customers and people had after the LA fires.
Yeah.
With addressing, how we have RAWs, we're really great with weed mitigation. How we regularly, check all of our infrastructure. There's other items there all about fire hydrant maintenance, and there's preparedness tips under there. So we've already kind of pushed that forward in light of what's been occurring in the past.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe we might want
Yeah.
to add a sentence somewhere in there about fire preparedness.
Yeah, I think we will. I think 6, 7, and 8 all could speak to that in some way. So we'll work in that specifically somewhere
already doing
in one of
it.
those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what about operational excellence in the sense of, we talk about responsiveness in our communications and our customer service. We talk about providing reliable infrastructure and things like that, but there is an absolute commitment within the district to deal with things that when things go bump in the night, and the responsiveness. I'm not talking about a service level agreement type statement or anything like that, but I don't know that it overtly says about how, when things break and when things go wrong.
That'd be like our after hours so we have after hours response, right? We have people
24
that are on standby duty that can respond after hours on weekends, holidays.
I'm just saying, is there some way we can craft something in one of wherever it belongs, probably towards the front of this, with regard, a commitment to timely, emergency response and resolution and that kind of stuff? Because when you see the effort that district puts in when something happens,
Mhm.
and you know, it's not like, oh yeah, the water's been leaking out on, you know, X road the last 3 days. I wonder when somebody's gonna send a truck kind of a thing is that
Yeah.
we swarm it, right? And we're
Mhm.
trying to get that thing fixed and get everybody's water, you know, reliability back right away. So I don't know, I
Yeah,
feel like it.
that is
it
a good
needs to
point,
be
and it is
somewhere
one
there.
that came up in the workshop as well, that we actually get feedback from customers frequently that they're surprised how quickly we show up when they
Mhm.
call.
Yeah, for anything,
So,
right?
Yeah, I think we excel in that component, excel.
Okay.
Certainly the key message.
Hmm.
I had other, and this thought's kind of permeated my thinking about the challenge that the Rainbow had to undertake. Starting around 2014 and 15, about the time we recruited Tom, we had a 60 or 55 or 60-year-old water district that had set aside practically nothing over that period of time to handle the huge CIP issue that was on our plate there, but I don't think all these miles of ancient main lines and laterals and pump stations and all the other components of the district were aging or broken or on their way out, and we had nothing accumulated because, you know, in a more mature district, longer term, you know, the DWP's been around for 150 years. We've been around 60. So we were a recent district in that sense, but still have arrived at the point where our infrastructure has long since seen its better days. So trying to convey that to us, to our ratepayer, oftentimes is really difficult. I mean, at the meeting, at the finance committee meeting just last week, we, you know, had avocado growers here that, you know, hammered away at the board. And, you know, I didn't get into it at that time, but I wanted to say, well, you know, this was very much an ag district back in the day, but the leaders never set aside the reserves and created the rate structures in those days to do that. Now we're having to catch up, and that's an enormous burden at today's prices. And so, you know, everybody wonders, you know, why water is so expensive, and only one component of that we've recently addressed by detachment. The other component, though, detachment doesn't help, and it grinds on, and it's going to continue to grind on for some time until we somehow catch up with what's in the ground versus what's been collected for the future. So, and that's a complex problem. Not easy to translate, but it's certainly, it's got to become part of the key message at some point.
Mhm.
Now that we've faced down the cost of imported water, now we have to face down the problem of our infrastructure and the lack of reserves that have been accumulated by all standards statewide. We get to do it.
Mhm.
And, you know, decades went by, then we did the first really extensive CIP study, I think in 2015 or early 16, somewhere around there. And it was like, whoa, you know, here's some real numbers now. And this is what we're going to have to start doing just to get in the game. Certainly not solve it, but get it. So,
Okay.
we'd give that as a thought, maybe to how you would say that. I'm not sure. Don't have a recommended language, but I'd sure like to see us undertake that
Okay,
so that people understand.
thank you.
Mhm.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next section?
Yep,
Okay.
goals and objectives.
All right, goals and objectives. So this starts on page 17. There's 4 high-level goals with some specific objectives under each one. Provide reliable, high-quality water and wastewater services, strengthen customer relationships and public trust, ensure transparency, and promote preparedness efficiency, and innovation. Any comments on these 3 pages?
I'm sorry, what page again?
It starts on page 17.
Okay.
So it's 17 and 18.
At the top.
I may have worked on by any chance are the pages different
Yep.
from the original meeting to this meeting?
They should not be.
Okay, then
Look
it's
at
just
the
me.
upper right-hand corner for your page number. Upper right.
That's what
Oh,
you look at.
thank you, James. I'm looking here, I'm thinking,
I was doing that too for a while.
thank you. Thank you. This makes it far easier for me to continue.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
the plan document page number, not the agenda packet page number. All right.
No, I'm impressed with what you've come up with here. This is really good stuff.
Thank you. This is how we do more with less. Most agencies hire a consultant for $60,000 to create these
Yeah.
plans. So it took us a little bit longer because we had to wait until we had resources and an intern to help. But
Mhm.
you know, we wanted it done well
Who
rather than
was-
done rushed.
Who is on that team?
That it's me, Amanda, and Sierra,
Wow.
Guys, punch
and
above
2 of
your
them are
weight.
part-time.
Well, thank you.
Okay, any other feedback on the goals and objectives?
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the tactical recommendations, pages 19 to 21. Again, this has, high level recommendations with some specific details under each one on how we would execute that.
It's exciting to see that you're already doing a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah, the writing the document took a really long time, but we started just doing as we go,
Yeah.
and there are still some things that we need to get done before we delve all in on some of the tactical things like the social media. We need a solid social media policy. So both board members who have specific laws they have to comply with on social media, as well as staff know what the rules of engagement are. But that's coming probably right after this plan is finalized.
Could you remind me, when is the annual State of the District summary done?
Well, we kind of do a year-end one. We send a press release to the Village News.
Okay.
We did that in December, right, Amanda?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
The media coverage at the.
So we do,
Okay, thank you.
we do the press release at the end of the calendar year, because that's kind of how
Yeah,
our rate
yeah.
years.
Thank you. I just didn't know what month it was, so thank you.
And then we summarize some of those things in the annual plan, the
Okay,
budget document, the book, and on that. Any other suggestions or feedback for the tactical recommendations?
No, I think we've already kind of talked through a couple of these prior
Yeah,
to this.
when I made notes, I put,
Mhm.
oh, this will go in the tactical
Yeah.
section. Yeah. Okay, the communication toolbox. So this is just kind of notes for staff on engagement resources, online and social media, the lists of community events that are kind of on our radar that we can watch for each year. Ways we can get that community feedback, and then some ideas on the performance metrics, which is on the next page, on page 23.
But can we go back to the topic of localization? We had brought this up in a prior committee meeting about the website and some of the dynamic tools that were available to translate the website into multiple languages. And and then I know that the topic came up, with regards to this document, as an artifact and something we would disclose if somebody were to look on the website or want to read it or something like that, they would do that. Do we have limitation with regards to what some of those languages are now? I mean, I ended up with an RFP coming out of South America for my business, my personal business. And I was looking at it, I was trying to figure out whether it was Portuguese or Spanish. And I think I just told Bing, I was in an office or I was on the edge. I just said, Bing, can you translate this into English? I was amazed how perfect it was when it came to me. The grammar and everything, how well it was able to do it automatically. These AI tools are
They're getting better and
amazing when
better,
it,
yeah.
if you were a localization person and that's how you made your living, you better find another job because it's
AI is-
over. So I'm just saying, when we talk about here, I think it was in translate print and digital materials to Spanish. I don't know what our main 4 or 5, whatever languages that we would be concerned with here.
It's really just English and Spanish. When we look at the demographics, there's those are the only 2 languages that more than 10% of our
Mhm.
the people in our area
Mhm.
speak.
And that's just
And
from,
the next closest is like 2 to 3%, I think,
and we know this how? I'm just asking.
from the census data.
Okay, so we haven't pinged our ratepayers to say.
We
this
haven't
is
asked
it.
them, no, we look at data that someone
Mhm.
else has collected. And we use that as a reference. So the most recent census is what we looked at when we were looking at our customer
Okay,
demographics.
thanks.
Yeah.
have
But
a-
to answer your well, I'll
Go
continue in
ahead.
just a
No.
second. To answer your question about translate, we use Google Translate on the website. So anyone from anywhere can look and translate it into their preferred language. Documents like PDFs, like this, it doesn't translate. So that staff has to get translated. So.
And I guess that's where I'm
Yeah,
saying you
yeah.
can put a PDF in any of these
We can
AI things, and
upload.
it'll
Yeah.
just read it.
AI is
Crazy.
definitely.
It's crazy. I was shocked. I was
Does
like,
Google
no.
Translate do the PDFs on our document, on our website too?
I'll double check.
I did it in
with regard
Bing
to the
and
demographic.
whatever that Bing's AI person is
Yeah.
thing, whatever, but it did it right away. So I'm just saying it PDF, Word document, doesn't matter. It's text in there, whether it's packed differently or not. And these new things can really change stuff fast. So just as a FYI.
And Bill, thank you for bringing that up, because that's what I've been suggesting too. And I assumed that we were using AI here, but possibly not. But there are many things that it was very labor intensive, is now very quickly accessible.
Oh, believe me, we use AI.
Okay. Okay, I do have a question about social media.
Mhm.
What exactly are we using to get our word out via social media?
Right now, it's limited because we don't have a written policy that gives kind of rules of engagement to staff.
Right.
So we've done some emergency notifications when we had things that we knew people were going to be looking for information on Twitter, for example, like when we had a break that our staff was working on Gopher Canyon, and then there was a different incident that had nothing to do with this that caused it to be shut down in both directions.
Right.
Remember that? And so people thought it was us.
Yeah.
It wasn't us.
They
But-
drove, they were on Gopher Canyon, so they drove through our traffic control. But there was another incident past us that had Gopher Canyon shut down. So on social media, they were saying Rainbow's got
Yeah.
Gopher Canyon, but we didn't. So
So there's been limited instances where we do that, but
Is
but
anything going further to expand this?
it's going to be expanded, yes, and in accordance with this plan, yes. So
And-
we have a Facebook page. We also have a Facebook careers page. We have an Instagram careers page. We have a LinkedIn page. And so the LinkedIn and the Instagram, we use mostly for the promoting the district activities related to being an employer of choice and things like that. But the emergency alert things, that would be like Facebook and Twitter.
And just a question. Several of the residents here use Facebook. Some use Nextdoor. Some are using X. But right now, we don't have a policy to get word out on that. That is controlled by the district of what we want to say. And is there any development of coming up with a policy and?
We actually have a draft policy
Okay.
internally that we've been working on.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, because that is something that if they're not getting it on their choice, that actually comes back negatively to Rainbow. So good. I'm.
you
glad
mean on their choice of social
A
media?
panel. yeah.
If they are using, for example, Nextdoor. And we don't have a policy, but it sounds we're developing one.
The policy isn't channel specific, but it's just general ground rules for what we will and will not say, what staff is
Right.
authorized to respond, to post, how
Board
we're authorized to
members.
respond. Same with
Okay.
with board members, because
Right.
you know, if a board member uses their personal social media for district
yeah.
business, then it becomes,
No, you can't do that.
yeah.
Right, but I think you're getting to the communications plan that would talk about what media channels that you would put what type of information out on,
Correct.
and then how do we staff that? So that when something does happen, that we say, we would like to put this out on 4 channels, that we have the ability to do that in a appropriate, in a standardized way. That would be in a communication.
And a lot of
plan.
places will put it out and they'll say, this is the social media that we use. If you want to stay updated, follow us on this
Right.
social media platform.
Yeah.
And I think,
Okay.
Carlene and her staff have done a really good job of assessing our demographics, right? So we have a changing demographics over the years where it would have been permissible, let's say 30 years ago, to send a letter in the mail to give an update. But now we have a changing of demographics. So then it went websites are good. People like to look at that. That's a different demographic. And now social media is playing a part in it. That's a different demographic, right? So Carlene and her team are they're developing plans to cover all these
Yeah.
different demographics, where 20 years ago it was the quarterly newsletter and,
Right.
maybe something in print media.
Oh, I agree. The reason I'm bringing it up is social media also has a different side. And that is that we as a district to know what is being posted that is untrue, that we are aware of that untruth to respond in a positive way, that the truth is that. So this is probably deeper than just this plan.
Yeah.
But
That goes to the policy.
Yeah, the
yeah,
policy
I think
itself,
having
yeah.
a policy to also be aware of what is being untrue out there, to be able to approach it,
Yeah.
would be proactive.
Misinformation was one of the threats, and online trolls.
Right.
Those were 2 of the threats identified when we did
Yeah.
the workshop. The policy can address some of that. But it'll include guidance like what to do when we see misinformation. And generally, it's going to be post a link to an official channel that we control, like our website that has the
Right.
factual information, rather than engage in a thread where you've got
Sure.
people piling on.
And-
Yeah,
right, yeah.
perfect. Okay, that's awesome.
Well,
Thank you.
and just on this topic, though, I think, how we get them, the ratepayers to expand that base that have opted in for communication direct from us. It feels that is the best way for us to go, to be able to have a one-to-one communication that, I mean, I don't know about you guys. I have lots of social media. I have a lot of applications. Everybody wants to notify me of everything. And I turn everything off because it's so annoying. But if I have a trusted contact that is Rainbow Municipal Water District, and I know I opted in, that if something happens, just like a reverse 911 call, I want to be notified, and there's a link in there to take me to the webpage to find out more information about it, then I'm going to look at that, right? That's important. Rainbow just texted me, something's going on.
Right.
So we have to focus on that,
And
regardless of.
Josh and his team actively solicit up-to-date phone numbers and emails every time they interact with customers, right? To get their updated stuff.
That's great.
Sometimes people forget when they change their number to notify utilities or whoever it needs to be notified.
And
but-
when we have these emergencies like fires and evacuation zones and things like that, it's a great opportunity for us to remind them that we need updated contact information
Mhm.
in case, we have a related shutdown.
Yeah, but then we have to be committed to communicating on that channel
Mhm.
or in that method,
Yeah.
right? When
Yeah, and
And that's why the policy and procedure is going to take time, but I appreciate that it's being proactive.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right. So any more comments or feedback on the toolbox and metrics, pages 22 and 23?
What we talked about.
That wraps up the discussion for this.
Yes.
If there's no more comments for us to take notes on.
Great job. Well done.
Well,
right.
I'm
Excellent.
excited knowing there's three.
One question for Ahmed, this is unrelated, but, because I have a one-track mind, I have to, keep going. Is it possible to develop, use AI to develop killer graphics that you could use in a meeting setting if we were to have these town hall meetings periodically? To build maps of our infrastructure that would show, these are all the streets, these are all the districts, this is our.
I mean, like accurate,
Is it-
like specific to the district.
Yeah,
But I-
well, it doesn't have to be engineering stuff. It just has to be the general location stuff that would.
Six fingers don't
that-
matter.
That would illustrate where all these
Yeah.
square miles of main lines are and how old they.
So from what I've seen from the AI images that I've tried to generate myself is they do come out a little bit weird. And it's, you have to keep talking to it for a real long time to get close to what you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pipeline and. they're
Honestly,
so
I mean, we
specific
have,
to
what's
sharing.
one of our strengths is we have an in-house graphic designer.
Yeah.
And Ahmed's got really good maps in our GIS system of our water and our wastewater system. And so between the two of them, I mean, we really do have some great internal
Data.
resources
Oh, yeah. I know.
to get those.
If
those
you-
things
if
developed.
every guy in the field can pull up on his pad and see exactly where he is, what's underground and where it is,
we do have that. So we've got a software.
incredible.
Yeah, we've got a GIS software that all of our field personnel have.
Most impressive
use that.
thing, last time they came out and I walked out in the street, they're digging it up and going, yeah, here, look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
All right.
extremely specific information.
So thank you very much. I said it in during the section about you guys punch above your weight. You guys are doing a great job
Mhm.
and it's really nice to see, and I know how hard it is to get from workshops to a draft document. So, and now you can really start looking at it, right? And I know you have been, but in making the tweaks and creating the emphasis and those kinds of things. So thank you for sharing. If any of the committee members have any other comments or suggestions or questions, they can just email them in.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Very impressive.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Item 12, quarterly customer service call metrics.
I don't know how to follow after that, but make this one short.
Better have some pretty good graphs. that's what I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
I do.
I warned him I was going to tire you out.
So this is the quarterly call metrics, November to January. So the blue bar is going to be 2024. The orange bar is going to be 2023. This is going to be the average hold time. So we want to look at November is 53 seconds, December 55. Those 2 months are a little bit higher because that was right around detachment. You know, we had a lot of calls and the bills looked a little bit different.
We had the weird billing thing happen too.
Yeah. Yep. So then in January it dips down a little bit, but pretty consistent. We want to stay under a minute. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. I called a bunch of other districts and asked them like what their average hold time was. They said about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So the fact that we're under one consistently, that's what we strive to be at.
Wonderful.
And this is going to be the average talk time. So again, you see that spike in December because we detached December 1. So we're spending a lot of time with customers on the phone. And typically we get a lot of calls around December because it's a little bit rainy and they're asking like, why is my bill still up? Why has it not gone down yet? Right. So just spending more time with them on the phone.
I know you guys have done a lot of ways to track and categorize the conversations. We did that analysis a while
Mhm.
back, those kinds of things. But is there any generalization that you can share with the committee with regards to when you have those talk time metrics about how much of it is the customer service agent being able to share information, get additional information from the customer versus the customer trying to communicate their issue or problem? Do we see, because the length of time of a conversation that it goes longer can be a positive thing depending on what's being talked about, right?
Yeah.
So is there any way for us to get a feel for that as far as how much new information we're sharing, how good that conversation goes versus one-sidedness, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so when we tracked all those calls for those 2 consecutive months, I mean, we saw the categories, they were like the same month over month, and it was paying your bill, explaining the bill, right? Those are like the two most common ones. And when it comes to explaining it, I think it's definitely for newer customers because they see a $200 bill, but the majority of that is going to be for the fixed fee, right? For the actual water consumption, it's going to be like $40, $50. So I think a lot of the time spent on these calls is going to be just really educating customers, but we have a lot more information on our website, you know, how to read the bill, what does each line item mean, and just kind of really detailing everything out. But that's
Okay.
definitely the, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, continue.
Yeah, that's the majority of the time spent is really just educating them because we get a lot of people, oh, I used to live in Los Angeles or Orange County, like my bill was $50. Why is it 2 times as much, 3 times as much? You know, and just really just going into that educating, just kind of opening up that conversation to get them to understand, you know, look at the area you live in. This isn't, you know, populated like how it is in Orange County or Los Angeles.
I get there's. So I experienced this morning. I just got to relay this story very quickly. So I was at the ophthalmologist getting my eyes checked, and they're, you know, having me look at the blue light and whatever they're doing, taking pictures of my eyeballs. So we're having I'm having a conversation with this young lady, and oh, where do you work? And I work for Rainbow Water, and she's like, oh, I live in Rainbow. I'm like, oh.
No, it's here we go.
Oh, you do. The first thing she says is, my bill has gone up $150 over the last 5 years. She's all, I think I have a leak or something like that. So I said, well, how much time do you have? And she's all, well, I have about 15 minutes for the next, you know, patient comes in or whatever. So I called customer service. I talked to Sarah and I said, can you run this address and just give me their usage history over the last 5 years real quick? Just look at it and see if you see anything. She said, no, they're pretty consistent, 3 or 4 units. It's the fixed charges that have gone up. So here I am at Kaiser in ophthalmology with the technician spending 15 minutes
And
Ex-
Vista,
at Vista, right? Explaining their
Yeah.
bill.
Mm.
And it's very true. And it was literally 15 minutes of just sitting there explaining the bill, talking about the attachment and everything else, and just educating. By the time I was done, she was satisfied and she understood what was going on. But I mean, I was just like a 1 microsecond of what Josh and his team go through on a daily basis.
the fixed
Yeah.
rate is something that many customers do not
Yeah,
understand.
their real
Yep.
estate
And you
agent doesn't
talk,
tell
you
them.
share
Yeah.
information and it's still perplexing to
Yeah.
them.
That's why we try to introduce like analogies, just, you know, layman's terms to get them to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the easiest analogy that I just repeat over and over when I'm at the avocado festival and people ask that, and why are your fixed rates so high? Why are your rates so high in general? We're twice the geographic size, of the city of Oceanside, and we have 14% of the population.
That's exactly
Mhm.
exactly what I told. I compared
Yeah.
the size of our district compared to the number of services. To the point that you made, Oceanside has 46,000 connections. We have 9,000. Our systems are almost the same size.
Yeah.
And connections per mile matters
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
a lot.
All right.
And then this is going to be the total calls. So November, just shy of 1,000, December 988, and then January drops off a little bit to 945. Again, you can see compared to 2023, about like 100 more, a little bit more than 100 more. But again, just with detachment, we're just getting a lot more of those phone calls. But it's been pretty consistent, like under 1,000 is what we've been seeing.
Do you monitor whether it's a residence or an ag call? Any chance?
So we don't monitor that. When we were doing that study, right, when we were like tracking the calls, we saw that the majority were residential. Not that many were ag. I think it was like less than 10% of ag customers are calling. But in terms of this, I don't know if we had said it last time. In order to get that data, we have to manually track it,
Yeah.
right? So it's very time consuming, but just kind of like at a snapshot, I'd say like less than 10% would be ag.
James, didn't you ask about how many ag customers we have compared to our residential customers earlier today? Are
Yes.
you asking that?
Yeah.
So Ahmed was doing a little overtime over there on the computer. And what's interesting is 74% are single family residential and 7% are ag. But what like Carlene said, those numbers are actually opposite in water usage,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And then Vista, we serve 480 customers Oceanside 16.
So, yeah, Fallbrook, Bonsall and Vista are the largest groups.
I'm expecting that 900 number to start dropping. I mean,
Yeah, we think so.
you think, I haven't called the district in over a year. Cause I had my first water leak that happened, my irrigation system and. And I got help right away, but, I don't know what people keep calling you, but do you think?
I don't know. If you have Robert's cell phone, you're set.
Bill has.
I do. Dude, what do I do?
Oh, Josh and his team do an outstanding job, and it is, it's a lot of work with that many calls that are coming in.
Yeah.
And taking the time to really work with the customers, and then sometimes it's just a matter of figuring out, it's not a billing issue, but what is your issue, and then trying to send that to the correct department,
Right.
right? So that they can make sure they get the help that they need. So it's
And just to kind of reiterate how awesome our customer service team is, for the second year in a row, they were awarded the Department of the Year, the Team of the Year at our Employee Awards
Yeah.
banquet.
Yeah.
And we have the guidelines for vote. They're nominated and selected by their peer employees, and they're not allowed to vote for their own department. So this is all people from outside customer service saying, like recognizing the hard work that they do and the really challenging conversations they have to have every day. And then construction was a very, very close runner up to that department as well. It was, and I think maybe engineering was also finalist. So it was really,
was a big.
really.
You get a
really
big
deal.
trophy?
Yeah.
It's right there in the front by the lobby. Thank
Yeah,
you,
they
Julie.
did. They
Yeah.
got a trophy.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Let's move on. 13, crop
Well,
swap.
I have
Oh.
something.
Mhm.
I would like to commend you and your team, because it is not just that you did this for a little bit, you're consistently performing at this rate of excellence. So thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate that.
Okay, moving to 13, crop swap program update.
Oh, yes, and speaking of excellence,
Oh,
we
sick.
were,
We're over $1 million. Yeah, baby, $1 million. I was bragging on you guys up in Temecula a couple weeks ago.
so we went
Yes.
over our threshold amount by $843,450. So we hit that 1 million mark. 83 applications received to date. Right now, because we went over our amount and the funds have been all allocated, we're at a hold. So any future applications coming in will be put on a wait list. We've communicated that with our customer service team, and they're aware, so they're referring calls that we do have to Rancho Water so they can better explain our status and where we are with future funding. We had 58 projects approved to date. 14 of projects are in that pre-inspection wait list limbo area, and 5 projects have been completed and paid. So we paid out 70,000 projects that are completely done with avocado rootstock, mulching, tree rejuvenation, and scheduling automation. So those
Nice.
customers have
Congratulations.
finished, gotten their money,
Yeah.
they're good to
That's
go.
great.
What are we doing to get the grants renewed for next year?
Rancho Water is currently in process for looking at future opportunities with various different agencies, programs. We are on hand to provide any quotes or supplemental information that we can to kind of push forward that funding. All of us have really enjoyed the program. I mean, this started talking about June 2023. I was a couple weeks on board here, and it took until April of the next year to launch it. And they went through funds quicker than anticipated. They did not expect us.
They didn't expect us to take up.
Yeah, and namely Division 1
Yeah.
was a huge part of
Yeah,
this process.
Division 1. I do have a question. The funding of this, is it regional? Is it state or feds?
This program was a state-funded program.
Good.
This was a regional co-op between us and other districts. So right now, their water use team and management team are researching all avenues to push this forward. It was
Excellent.
extremely successful.
Yeah, because the feds money, I would not plan on that, but this is good. Okay, thank you. That's even makes me happy.
So two quick questions. One is, we talked at an earlier meeting about, the agencies meeting to discuss, freeing up the other, monies that hadn't been used by other agencies. Has that happened and what's the plan on that? And then my second one is, are they going to change the rules next time since you guys already did over $1 million? But seriously though, is these underperforming, underutilized funds? Can we get our hands on them?
I believe there's a time limit on that, and Jake was in talks with the Rancho Water team. It's just a matter of deciding what they're going to do when we reach these. We're gonna have to distribute all funds by, spring. So once we receive that information, Jake will let us know.
Okay,
Hopefully push forward.
great.
Congratulations.
The other districts or the other agencies are like, they started to gain momentum as we took it all up. It took them a little longer on the uptake. I think we had done a lot of pre-communications before the program was live, so people were just waiting, and so
Well, and they probably copied you, right? And you spurred some
I
action
asked
there.
for a little guidance and
nudge,
help.
yeah.
Yeah.
You guys led the way. That's excellent.
And
Wonderful.
this is a breakdown of our project by type.
Mhm.
Avocado rootstock was in the clear lead here. Crop conversion. Crop conversion was a variety of different fruits that people were moving away from avocados to citrus fruit,
Mhm.
and some wine grapes. And then we have the rejuvenation, soil moisture sensors, and a few of those. in between.
Awesome. Okay,
Great.
okay. Any final questions on crop swap? Wow, that's a home run right there.
Mhm.
Okay, 14, water use efficiency update.
Yes, this is our Flume update for 2024. So we sold a total of 104 devices. Of those that were purchased, 77% are installed and fully running. We have a slower than, usual connection rate. You would think with that 77%. However, the average rate for Met customers who participate in the Flume program is anywhere from 70 to 85% connections. So we are at pretty good status there. We have 156 devices remaining on our account of the 1,000 that we originally purchased in 2019. And this device, we have the best program available for our customers because we were the very first water agency to sign on. Our instant rebate and our low cost brings it down to $49 per device. With Met, you don't even get that low of a price there.
Mhm.
Well, I have to admit, after all these years, I finally bought this, right? And I have to, some of you have used it, but I am so impressed. So I had my neighbor come over. And I said, hey, Randy, come over. It says 10 minutes to install this. So he comes over and he's like, and he's an engineer, and he says, this is really impressive. I said, well, if you're a Rainbow customer, you actually save $200. Whoa. And I said, and I went through all the other types and it's nothing like this. And so now he's ordering one for his family.
Mhm.
So, but it is very simple to install.
Yep.
Very simple.
You can get to your meter. And now that we replaced all the meters and everybody had to dig the
Yeah.
crews had to dig all those meters out, definitely makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
Some of the other statistics are that we only have 236 devices connected out of the 848 that were sold. A lot of that has to do with the original Flume 1 device kind of being phased out. Flume 2, we pushed a campaign with Flume to communicate with our customers to switch over devices. We have done a wonderful job of educating our customers about the importance of installing, how the effectiveness of the device. So we've had a stronger installation measure, but the batteries have changed significantly where you no longer need to have these very specific batteries you have to order from Flume. So now they only take AA batteries. Our customer supports team at Flume is sending regular messages to our customers upon receiving the device. So every 6 days, they'll receive a reminder. Please connect your device. You'll be able to take advantage of all of these opportunities on the app. One section that we might be able to improve is that Met kind of withholds the rebate until the device is installed. So agencies that participate in that program have a little bit higher of a installation number than we do. because they hold that rebate. So that could be one avenue that we could take to kind of push forward installation.
Against the last remaining devices?
Yes.
Okay.
And my only suggestion is in the newsletter, it's on the very back corner. This is important to us, and maybe sometime put it on the front
Yeah.
page in the top, because people will see it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we talk about making sure we keep reinforcing it. So is there a way to get a hit list of the people who, you know what I mean? A targeted list of ratepayers who have had difficulty or not got around to installing it, and put them on a call list that when customer service isn't taking calls, we reach out to them and say, hey, do you need any help? You know?
Yeah, we've actually had a campaign last January and then in October to push forward to contact those customers that did not install. That was either through calls or emails through Flume directly.
Okay.
On our end, we have not. Other agencies do offer installation from their team. So
Mhm.
that is why they also have a higher rate of installation. That's just
Mhm.
not something that we want to offer because
Mhm.
of our really limited team here.
Right. Well, I mean, you could, just like the Mission Water District or whatever, Conservation District, there are a lot of volunteers in that, you know? Maybe we think about, if it's important to us, that we ask the people who are using it if you'd be open if somebody has trouble, or, you know, that wanted to reach out for advice. I mean, I'd help a neighbor do it, right?
It's very easy.
Right, you know what I mean? And I'm sure some people, it could be just, they don't know how to like attach something to their Wi-Fi. Or they don't understand, you know, they think they've got a, you know, you know, how it communicates. They don't understand how it communicates or something like that. But you said something on the batteries. I thought we were at regular batteries, and then we went to a pseudo battery pack, which was like taped together batteries. And now we're back to regular batteries again. Cause my batteries haven't gone out yet on my Flume 2 when I got the last battery pack that I had to buy from them.
They
So
listened
now
to
I
us.
can, am I going to be able to just pull that out and shove double A's in there? Or do I have to
should
ask
be
for
able to.
something different to hold those batteries?
You should be able to. They implemented the change last fall where you would be able to use AA batteries.
Is that Flume 3?
Oh, two.
It's
two.
a Flume
No.
2.
It's two.
Oh. No, and don't take my comments as anything negative, because I love it. It has saved me so much money. It is off the charts, from slab leaks to everything else. So it's a great thing. Okay. Anything else on this?
To carry on with that, because we've been reviewing the contract, it's going to be coming up soon. We sold 104 this past year. We have been researching with Metropolitan. So they offer 5 devices on their plan. And with the strong push from homeowners insurance is wanting to have a auto shut off
Mhm.
device. We've had several issues with PRV devices. We wanted to get your feedback on possibly offering another device. Metropolitan has a very flat $100 rebate for these devices, and you have to go directly to the vendor to purchase and then submit to Met for the rebate. So it's a bit more of a cumbersome process than our link
Instant rebate.
sign
Yeah.
in instant rebate.
So our rebate for Flume is twice what Met
Mhm.
offers, so they can't really piggyback on it, because then it would be negative. But yeah, we had, as we are in the last 150 devices of the original 1,000, we wanted to kind of start the conversation and get feedback on whether we want to create either replace or augment our current kind of rebate program to include one of these. They're much more expensive because they require the professional installation, but we did all of our meter replacement at once. That means we installed our own pressure reducing valves that protect our meter. But when those go out and they're going to reach end of life all close to the same time because they were all installed at the same time, then that can create a claim if customers have damage to their home, or, you know, related to sudden high pressure. So having a program where we can help defray the cost of some of these more expensive devices, but that include the auto shut off, that the homeowners insurance companies are asking a lot of their customers to install. There is a potential ROI for the district as well in the form of reduced claims. If something happens and they're away, they can actually turn it off, whereas Flume just says, hey, by the way, you have a leak, but if you're on vacation in Mexico, there's not much you could do about that, right?
Vacation button. Joe next door
Well,
needs
you
to
have
come
a-
over and turn my
but-
water on.
And have them also have a backup email to somebody else.
Do we have any, yes, yeah, absolutely. Do we have any adoption data that like Moen shares? I've looked at that Moen device and every time I look at it, I was like $550. I mean,
But
that's a
because
lot of money.
we do have customers whose insurance companies has mandated that they have to do it.
And I'm one of them.
So those customers is kind of who we're thinking, and the customers that we know live in high pressure areas where there's a risk that if our device fails and there's a sudden change in the pressure, where, you know, it could help us prevent a claim, and save the customer a lot of headache in dealing with a leak like that.
My insurance that I have right now, I will lose that because I went with Flume versus the Flow by Moen.
Mhm.
But I also would have done the Flow by Moen if there was something that Rainbow was guaranteeing, because it's a level up. It's a level that you can have, it will automatically shut off if something's happening versus the other. So for me, even though I just bought this, if we offered something like with Flow or something that has a shut off, because Farmers is actually the installation is included for a certain amount. It's like $700 or something, but I didn't buy it because it wasn't like endorsed by Rainbow, where the other one I knew it was. But if you had those two options, that would actually be more attractive to our ratepayers, in my opinion.
And I'm not sure if we can endorse one particular,
Probably not.
but
Right.
definitely make a recommendation. And maybe it's something and it's something to think about in the future, but do we shift our focus away from the Flume and maybe onto some of these devices that can do both, that can monitor and shut off the water and focus our rebate?
Let's have the ratepayer make the decision what they want.
What they
because
want,
Yeah.
The first one, what's nice is at the meter, so your irrigation and all that is also being
Right.
checked. Where the Flow is actually an interior check.
Exactly.
Right, so if you blow your water main on your property, Bloom tells you.
Yeah,
Moen
would not.
doesn't
Well-
care because the water's not getting to the house anyway, right? It's
That's right.
protecting insurance damage.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like we need both.
Yeah.
But if
That's
we could
exactly-
match a rebate, if
Mhm.
there was a financial wherewithal within the region to back to the avoidance of claims and things like that, to say Met will give you $100 and we'll give you another $100. So you take a $550 investment. And you can take $200 or $250 right off the top and it's gonna benefit everybody, then that may be an idea, I guess. I'm not familiar with the other three. I know
I looked into the other three as well, but the rating was best for the Moen one. But even like a ratepayer, I would say, many of the people I know, that if we had, actually, we could have one for the interior, one for overall, that we probably do it. Because insurance, like I will lose insurance. Well, I'll go with another agency, but no, it's getting, I talked to Jake about it. I said, yeah, they're canceling your insurance if you don't do this.
well, I mean, having the ability to turn something off inside or to your house is pretty valuable. I mean, when I just had recently had my slab leak that Flume told me about, I had the ability, because I had an on-demand hot water heater, that I could just do a little cutoff valve and I could stop the hot water in my whole house where all the other water was running. And I isolated my leak until I was able to make a repair. This would just stop water to the whole house, if something were to happen. But I think having something outside and inside, because our different ratepayers are going to need it, right? Some people won't care about Flume.
Right.
And they'll care about Flow, and other people would, I mean, it'd be silly
And
not to have flume.
Not every ratepayer could use Flume because it has to be within 1,000 feet of their Wi-Fi. So if they have a larger property, if their
Yeah.
meter is too far away, then this is an alternative that they could still use.
Okay.
And there might be options. I just thought about it because we offered, Josh, don't we offer that a claim adjustment for a leak on private property?
Yeah, it's once every 5 years that they can take
Right?
advantage.
So if they had this device, it would isolate that leak a lot faster. You know, some people are gone for the weekend and something blows out in their house and they don't even know about it till they get home.
Well,
Mm.
and I actually did research on this because I wasn't real crazy about an auto shut off because of fire. So I spoke at length to the company and they said, well, actually, if you lose your Wi-Fi, that device really doesn't work.
You have to make everything redundant.
And I said, well, because on engineering operation, one of our members, they had to use his water.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so I said, well, what happens if they need to use your water or you would it be shut? And she said, well, in case of something like that, you can actually even manually turn off the system.
Right.
So
Or disable it.
yeah,
Yeah.
disabled, but I spent at length talking to, what is it, Moen about it, because I was concerned about the shut off of water during a fire. And also if we lose electricity, what would happen?
So it only has a Wi-Fi card in it. It doesn't have, you can't put a cell card in it or anything, right? It relies on Wi-Fi and relies on electricity. So if you lose both of those, then it's
Some of
it's
them
a
have
ball
their,
valve.
yeah, the Streamlabs product has its own data pack, so it has cell, but again, same issue with if you lose Wi-Fi is if cell service goes down or is compromised in an emergency situation, then it wouldn't work in that case either.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think, we've all shared different thoughts and ideas here, but I would hope that the finance committee and staff would consider maybe expanding or, doing something with the rebates on that. But I think we should figure out a way to help people who have bought that we've financed or help underwrite and that aren't installed. Maybe we can even send a direct mail to them. We can have a little letter. I think we just have to keep up because there's some reason why they're not doing it. It's either sitting in their utility room and it's on somebody's to-do list
Oh.
or
Well,
or
you
they,
know what I think? The neighbor that was helping me, because your crew had taught me how to do a lot of the stuff that's under that lid. And he says, oh, we can't attach this because the dirt is level to your meter. I said, well, no, you just take the dirt down. And he's like, oh, I didn't know you could do this. So I bet you they go, how am I going to attach this? Because the dirt rises.
right.
So
Yep, scorpions. Nope, not there, not doing it, right?
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Event planning, item 15. We're almost there, guys.
This is an overview of our events for 2025. Right now, we're in the student poster contest rollout. So March, May, we are planning a field trip. So instead of hosting the field trip here at the district, which does take a lot of time for our team to coordinate, we are coordinating with Met for students to visit Lake Skinner. So similar to that field trip that we took was it October's ago? We are going to have a field trip there.
Awesome.
that would be really nice.
It will, and we really want to emphasize, where our water comes from, the process, and then hopefully
That's
they will relay that information to their parents.
Mhm.
What is the anticipated student population attending?
We have very small groups, so we want to keep it under 24 students so that we can keep track, because that is a very large facility. There's only so many of those little cars that they can take around to tour. But it'll be a short field trip, maximum of like 2 hours.
Mhm.
So we'll get that initial meeting in the boardroom to go over the history and then go out into the facility. For April, we have the Cal State San Marcos Job Fair. We want to get your feedback on that. And then, of course, the Avocado Festival. May, we have a wildfire symposium. This is a new event with our emergency agencies that we're going to be coordinating. June, we're going to do the Vallecito's Elementary School Rainbow Run again, likely sponsoring water bottles for their water station. June and December, we're going to do another blood bank drive with the San Diego County Blood Bank and host it here. And our goal is to coordinate that with the Fallbrook Health Services so that we can do some cross promotion there and hopefully get a stronger turnout. October, we'll participate in the North County Fire Open House again. November, we're going to do the Speakers Bureau for schools. So we have been focusing on high school students. We want to really get down to the elementary school level. Kids will be enamored by how wonderful our jobs are and explaining the water process as it relates to their curriculum. And
Okay.
these are some of the events we wanted to get your feedback on. So the Cal State San Marcos Job and Internship Fair is in April. It does carry a hefty booth space fee. And then we are going to be accounting for time. It is open to all students, alumni for the event, but we'd have to bring promotional materials, pay for our fee there.
And that's about twice what we typically pay for a job post, you know, when we actually have an opening on the outside sites that we advertise some of our job posts at. So it's always been a challenge to attend job fairs because we have to commit before we know whether we're going to have an opening on that at that time. So going to an event like that is really just kind of getting people to sign up for the email alerts of future openings with us. And so that's active for a year after they sign up for it. So if we did it, that would be the goal, would be to increase the number of subscriptions that we have for the job notifications. So that could work either for potential interns or potential, more experienced personnel, since it is also open for alumni. Yeah.
Okay.
Avocado Festival is going to be on the April 13th this year. This event takes up a lot of staff hours, a lot of promotional. So it's a big budget event. We start at 5 a.m. and we wrap up by, roughly 6:30. In the past, that day usually involves 30 plus staff hours just for that day alone. We're going to try to increase the number of people at our booth with the help of our board and committee members to help us. Julie was fantastic and came out and spoke with a lot of our customers last year. But that event also does take a lot of preparation. So 35 plus hours to prepare all the materials for the event, the coordination with staff in ordering all those items. We would like to pivot this to not give out so much promotional items because this is not an event primarily attended by our ratepayers. We had a lot of people last year that were from LA, Orange County, deep into San Diego, and we were giving away promotional materials to them. So we'd like to scale back with having an educational component. Maybe, if we're going to give away dog bowls, Carlene had the great idea, we promoted as like, bring your dog, let us pet your dog and you'll get a free dog bowl. Have some sort of education with kids where they are learning a little bit about stuff in school and they come and tell us a fun fact about where their water comes from, and we give them an item. We really want to encourage educational outreach with this event, and then have face-to-face time with our customers to answer those really plaguing questions. So we'll have plenty of staff from Josh's team there on hand.
Yeah, so the challenge with this event is, the more free stuff they see, the more engagement we get, and people come and they talk to us. And as soon as the swag runs out, engagement drops.
And most of the people.
So the challenge that we need to figure out is how do we draw people in without just spending $5,000 or $6,000 on swag that we're giving away to people who are not our ratepayers. So.
Okay. And
Go
ahead.
Do you have any suggestions or recommendations for us for that event? You would love to join us for an hour or two?
I have to commend your thought process on this, having done it only one time. But I felt the Avocado Festival was not really educating our community. It was more, what am I going to get if I come to your booth?
Mhm.
So they would come to get the prize, but then they would leave because very few of them actually wanted to talk about the water, what we had there and all that. So, and most of the people I talked to weren't even from our area.
Right, and then the staff who's at the booth, their time is taken up
Oh,
by
yeah.
managing the whole price wheel
Yeah.
process. And so when we do get a ratepayer that does have questions and wants to engage with us, it feels like we have less time to meaningfully engage with them.
And it's something the board members should be present at. And there was Michael and I, and maybe there was other board members, but it's also difficult because the board members are there. And all this commotion's going just to get the free stuff, and the board members are in the back, ready to talk about and have them do surveys and all. But it was a commotion that
Right.
Mhm.
it's just all these things are going, and people were just going down to get as much as they can through these lines.
You guys are looking at it right, but there's no silver bullet here, right? And trade shows, fairs, they are all the same,
Yeah.
right? And so you're gonna kiss a lot of frogs, and there's not gonna be it's hard to target in. So the idea of coming up with ways to get local school children and to be people engaged, where you put some gates up somehow, whether they're that they come up with ideas or talk about something. I think that's all good, but at the same time, we're supporting our community. And when people are coming and they're getting a friendly engagement from Rainbow Water, that makes our community look good too. And they could be future ratepayers as well. And they may be so impressed with how wonderful we are that they come and buy really expensive houses that use a lot of water. So it's you're taking the right approach, but don't be too hard on yourself with regards to the people who are just out with their huge Costco bag, shopping for swag. You will never get, it's just really hard to filter those people out. So, but
We have done things like shift towards the less expensive giveaway items, smaller items that take up less space in the booth. So that, even though we get that heavy traffic, it doesn't cost us quite as much. So we'll keep thinking on that.
Then we have the Graze at the Fields event from the San Diego Farmers Bureau. It's April 24th. It's an evening event. Setup is a little early and tear downs very late. The booth space is free. We would like to have this attended by committee members or board members. The only drawback is that it does require an entrance fee. The other thing is we didn't quite feel that we fit at this event because the only other water agency in attendance is the Water Authority.
there we go, David and Goliath. That's
Our
great.
other agencies in the area
Yeah.
declined to reserve booths. They did not feel it was a good fit for their staff and their needs.
So have you decided on this, or you?
leaving
we're
it
at-
open
back.
for-
We're asking for feedback. So we could have a booth for, and it wouldn't cost us to have a booth, but anyone who goes as an attendee has to pay, I think it's $250
It is
ticket price.
sponsorship.
What about if you're a Farm Bureau member?
We are.
$65 per ticket. If you're a sponsor, it's $250 up to $2,500.
Well, we are now active in the Farm Bureau. A board member is attending the meetings. Has this ever happened before? Or is this something new they're doing?
No, these were the requirements that 65 per ticket, VIP is 90, sponsors are 250 to 2,500. They anticipate it's going to be attended by local council members, assembly members, sheriffs, senators, and mayors. But mostly the coastal communities that they're receiving a lot of RFPs for. And the demographic is kids to adults, and the majority of people between the ages of 30 and 60.
And they're $60? Somebody walking in off the street, or is it open?
Anyone can attend, but you have to pay that entrance fee of minimum $65.
I don't know how many kids in it out there.
It's a fundraiser event, so.
Got
I
it.
would suggest the board member that is attending to get their input on this. Because we are trying to be more proactive with our ag involvement with Farm Bureau.
Mhm.
But I think to make sure that they're able to feel comfortable with that commitment.
And when it says graze at the fields, does it mean like there's like free food?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Let's talk about,
He
we
pays
have-
for his food.
my goal was to get out of here by 3 o'clock with what was on the agenda. We're lagging.
We're close.
So
There.
let's get to Wildfire Symposium.
The Wildfire Symposium, Robert can speak a little bit about this. We're having the event on May 3rd. It's a Saturday at Fallbrook Union High School, and it's a community event for all to attend.
So the first one they did, I think it was several years ago.
2023.
It was a packed house at the high school. It was in the library. All the different agencies that respond to fire showed up. And basically spoke on some of the things that they do for response. It was, and then there was little booths set up, you know, kind of the perimeter inside the library. And it was basically a question and answer for all the public. I think this year it's probably going to be a little bit spicy with the recent fires up in LA. And we're working with Fallbrook to make sure that because we'll probably be co-presenting with Fallbrook. So we're going to make sure we're on the same, you know, sheet of music as we present our information. But it's really, that last time, that first one was a packed house. It's probably gonna be standing room
They
only.
talked about moving it from the library to the gym so that they could accommodate a bigger.
Will we
Probably
just
a
have a
good idea.
table?
Yeah, it's just one table.
We'll have a table.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll have a table and we'll be speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the model of the event, they're talking about having a theme for the event, which they haven't finalized yet, but what was discussed at the planning meeting was themes like know your neighbor, know your zone. After the LA fires, they learned that, you know, a lot of people only got out because their neighbors helped them and they had to know their zone and to get the note and sign up for the notifications, especially if something happens in the middle of the night, like happened with both the Paula and Lilac fires here recently. So so that's kind of the theme that they're looking for.
That's great.
That we're going with. And so it'll be short, less than 10-minute presentations from each of the presenting agencies, and then kind of a Q&A. Now, depending on what agency you're interested in hearing from, then they can go engage with us at the booths, at the tables afterwards.
Well, overall feedback for me would just be, you know, I don't know what your budget is for events and what you've earmarked for that 2025, but if you guys think the Cal State is a good investment for that booth space, then, you know, obviously, you know, if you've not done it before, you guys think you might get a good return out of that and get a good pool of candidates. You know, that's your call. The Grays at the field just doesn't seem like a great fit for us. But like it's been suggested, let's see what our board member has to say about that, because I don't know how big our budget is again, but that would be considerable amount of money put towards that. You know, those coastal people. But the others I think are great. And that Wildfire Symposium sounds like a great idea.
I have Director Hoffman on the call and she wanted to say something.
Oh,
Director Hoffman, if you could just unmute yourself and please go ahead and speak.
Have I unmuted myself?
yeah, you are unmuted.
Okay, okay, good. Hi, guys. I had a little misunderstanding there. I thought it was a Zoom call,
Oh.
but it's an in-person. So next time I will be there in person. My husband had a little mishap in a minor little surgery thing. So I called in, ate some lunch, but I've been listening the whole time. But I wanted Julie you to know that I did go to the Farm Bureau. I was sitting there thinking, I went to both meetings, the Water Committee and the Farm Bureau General Meeting. And I was kind of like, why am I here? Only because I'm thinking that this is San Diego water, not, so I was trying to think, should we hit more agricultural in Temecula? Because this is in Escondido. There were some of our ag ratepayers there. So yeah, Jake was there too. So there'll be more talk. I've only been to 2 meetings. So wanted to let you know, I was thinking about Grays at the Fields, but any input on that?
Other thoughts? No.
I think it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And it's too far away.
Okay.
But it also, out of respect to Director Hoffman, if that is something the Farm Bureau.
What?
Well, your input would be important because right now you're representing the board on that. So if you feel though that the Farm Bureau may not even be a good fit, then that answers that as well.
Right. I'm just thinking because of detachment, it kind of changed.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, good input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Look forward to meeting you.
Absolutely. And can we just make sure that the roll call is amended?
Yes, I have. her.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's keep going up. We're 2 minutes over.
Okay, I will go quickly on this. January.
We are on item 16.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Newsletter
January
content
issue of the
planning.
Newsletter, we wanted our ratepayers to know, where does your water come from? And we explained our relationship with Met, EMWD, and the state water project's role in supplying us water. We promoted the water awareness poster contest and went into the power safety shutoff. So all of these tips are on our website under our emergency info page. We have those ready. February, we are highlighting our critical aid to support the local fires, our emergency response, mutual aid, the water supply condition, the snowpack report, and the levels of our local reservoirs. We have info on our flow monitoring devices and the Making Conservation a Way of Life. Those guidelines as they relate to how we create our budget. It does not impact our customers, but emphasizing it impacts us, the water agency. And then water scholarships available through the ACWA.
Okay,
Rolling into March for Fix a Leak Week, we are going to be debuting our how-to video series. Josh, myself, and meters went out to the Havens, who were so kind to let us come film on site on how to locate your meter. So we'll have those videos ready and then an infographic on your meter location, how to turn off your water, identify a leak. We have a Water Wise for Life series we're starting. So this one's on World Water Day. So tips from EMWD on seasonal water usage, and then tying in those Met rebates for toilet installs, new washers. And then our educational outreach contests, scholarships, and then we're going to solicit high school volunteers to help us out at the Avocado Festival.
One suggestion, do we have any videos of how to install a flume?
We do. On the website, there's installation for Flume, as well as to change your battery, locating your meter there.
Okay.
And those are all Flume videos that are linked up to our YouTube page on our Rainbow Water website.
and on the infographic that you're talking about, is there anything to describe or talk about or a way to mention kind of a standard where your water line goes?
Oh, we can definitely do that.
I mean, because the people who do move out here are the ones that are calling, going, "Why is my bill $200?" That they know to look for if there's a little water easement, not an easement for the utility, but designated parts of their property where the water line is supposed to run, to give them more information about how water travels through their property. It's kind of like the dig alert type of thing, right? Mhm. Okay, thanks.
April, we are going to be focusing on irrigation tips, some rainwater harvesting information with rain barrel rebates that we have through Met, recap of the water supply conditions, advertise the wildfire symposium, Avocado Festival, and then a construction traffic notice we have from the ending of that pipeline relining through the water authority. It's going to impact some of our customers.
Okay. Great. Real quick. So when we have these water quality events, well, not probably a poor choice of words, it's not a quality event, but something where, like when there was that issue at Skinner and they had to shut a certain water source down, or they had to do some extreme treatment or whatever happens to be. Do we follow up with that inside of the newsletter at all, to let people know that, because it just doesn't matter, how well the water quality report communicates how good our water is. People remember when they were brushing their teeth and the water smelled funny, right? And those things aren't within Rainbow's control, right? And sometimes those things just happen. And it seems like they happen and more happen more often now. Have you guys given any thought to how to recap those, or is it how well, I mean, should we talk about them? Should we talk about them after? Should there be something on the website that if somebody was going, wow, our water does smell a little funny, what's going on? And they hit the website and it says, hey guys, just to let you know, this is kind of going on. It's not unprecedented, but it might last for 2 or 3 days or something.
Could definitely add it to the water quality section of the website. A great suggestion. That way we have a page that, we're constantly updating with new info. Most of the time, I know Josh, we usually tell our team, like, putting your water inside of the refrigerator helps dissipate a lot of those aesthetics that you taste and see.
Sure. Okay. Just a thought. Okay. Suggested. Oh, nope. Public communications related media stories, 17. I already checked you off. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Our end of the year story ran in December in the Village News. We have a wonderful spread in the Municipal Water Leader magazine. It was an interview with Jake.
That's really nice.
Great.
That came out
Yeah.
fantastic as well.
A few articles from Village News picking up our various items from the board meetings. We had fantastic coverage from the fires, our response, mutual aid that we provided for our fires in January, and our collaborative efforts with our local agencies. And
So do we want to go back to that? Because I
Yeah.
think that's when we were going to talk about kind of the crew that went to go help with the Eaton fire and the response that our team did during the active Lilac and Paula fires.
So we received, there's an organization called CalWarn, and they're an organization that coordinates mutual aid requests between water agencies in California. So it was a few days after the Eaton and Palisade fires, we had our initial request came out via email, and they were asking for anybody to go up there and actually help turn off water meters to burnt out areas up there. So we said we could help. Then that night they came back and said, no, we don't need your help. That was on a Sunday night. Then on Wednesday, we got another request that we need to have some of our reservoir sites and tank sites pumped out. Said, yes, we can help you. They turned us down again, said, no, thanks. We got somebody. That was on a Wednesday. Then Thursday morning, they said, hey, is there any way you can really come up here? And we're like, are you really sure this time? They're like, what time can you be up here today on Thursday? So we put a team together, got some pumps, our trailer mounted pumps, went up there, got there around Thursday, around 4 p.m., started dewatering their reservoirs. They had 2 reservoirs. They were originally built in the 1930s, wooden type, corrugated metal and wood roofs that burnt down. 2 tanks that were in the same condition. They need the water that was remaining in there to be pumped out so the contractor could get in there and pull all that lumber and wood out of there, and they could start doing the rehab to get those back in service. Yeah. And that was Rubio Canyon Land Association water. So they have interesting water districts up there. They have 10 employees at this district. They didn't have the kind of equipment that we showed up with. We were there from Thursday night, Friday. We came back home Saturday night. So there's a picture of myself and the 3 guys that went up there. My aunt actually lives in Pasadena, right off the 210 and Colorado Boulevard. So she let us spend the night, a couple nights there. So it really was no cost to the district as far as hotel. And then she was happy to feed us and everything. So that worked out really good. As soon as we came back from that, it wasn't a week later, the Lilac and Paula fire started. We had a crew working a main break on Montserrat and Mission, and our construction supervisor was out there, and he called me, and it was around 12:30 at night to wake me up, which he never does. And he said, hey, I think we got a couple fires out here and we're on a main break right now. And I'm like, okay. So I looked on the Watch Duty app. It said it's like 3 acres. I'm like, man, really? It's midnight and I'm woken up, but okay, I'll go out there and check it out. While I'm en route going down 76, I can see the Lilac fire going over the hill. Mm-hmm. Our safety officer had already started making his way out there. So we split the fires. I checked out the Paula fire, checked in with the chief there. That one they pretty much had knocked down. And then we focused our efforts on the Lilac fire. They were doing pretty good. They were flying 2 night flying helicopters. They did not use the rapid area water supply. It was a little too far away for them. They were using the ponds at vessels. So the ponds were right there, right next to the fire. So there was just a short takeoff for them. When the fire spotted in the brush behind Sullivan Elementary, they asked if we could bring our water truck because that was going to be a long run for them to shuttle water back and forth. They brought in about 6 bulldozers and basically cut a fire line from Sullivan all the way to the San Luis Rey River, right? And just dirted I don't know, it was probably 50 feet wide. And then by the morning time, the wind started to die down and they were getting a good jump on the fire. That picture up there is Jake. I took him out in the mornings to go tour the area. It burned around our tank. No damage to the tank. The paint didn't bubble or peel or anything like that. And it burned around one of our E&O committee members' house with no damage to his house either. So the vegetation management that we do around the tank sites really helps. I mean, that's a case study for it right there. Because we were in the evacuation zone, our district headquarters, we asked office staff to work remotely. We canceled this meeting.
They weren't letting anybody in.
Yeah, it
Even
was-
our staff.
It was
Had
hard
trouble.
to get our field staff. We had to post somebody up at the intersection in a district truck to tell, hey, that's a good guy, let him in type of thing. And then eventually they wanted to relocate their command post from the parking right up here down to our lower lot. So we allowed them to go set up down there, run their command out there. But it was we're lucky that the winds died down. And when I was talking to the firefighters, they had relocated. I think they said something to the tune of like 25 fire engines came down from LA and posted up in San Diego County in anticipation of those winds. So there was more fire resources here than what they knew what to do with. They had pre-positioned so many resources.
Good.
So it was all in all a great team effort
Probably
on
ended
that
up
one.
at O-time
Mm.
eventually.
Yeah.
Another day or two that one hit.
Well, just from an overall communications, kind of not just strategy, but just as an ability, the ability for us to work alongside these interagencies and to help with something that is so important to our ratepayers. And I don't think we can ever communicate it enough to reach our the members of the community to help them understand how involved and how much everybody depends on the water district and being able to deliver. I think it really popped up in LA. But everybody, I mean, that could be a different planet, right? They have to think about it down here and how important the success of this district is in supporting these other agencies to help the community. So we just have to keep doing this, keep doing this.
The word's out. The word's out.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent.
It actually ties into our latest article that hit this morning. The AP picked up our garden fire Healy hydrant action, and we have a nice little blurb in their article. It got picked up quickly. MSN News, Yahoo News, Washington Post.
Nice.
We're in there from Atlanta to Colorado. So if you see our name pop up.
That's great.
Good.
Bravo.
Well, it's very hard work.
Awesome.
Doing is very hard work.
Associated Press just got
Nice.
kicked out of the White House. 'Cause
Well, see, they can cover more of our news.
they're not calling it the Gulf of America yet.
All right, continuing.
That is the last slide.
Okay, so on item, thank you. On item 18, I don't see any of these topics that I would not like to continue to talk about next week, other than if the as a communication of an additional feedback that we may have on the strategic communications plan, if we can keep that on the agenda. So if there's something that we can share,
So we plan on having a draft 2. We made notes and we'll
okay.
work on it. So we'll have a draft. So if you go home and think about something,
then let's get that in.
typos, that kind of thing, then if you get it to us, let's see, for the March committee meeting is the 18th, right?
Yep.
So we would really kind of need that feedback by, like the 6th would be good. So we have
Okay.
a week to incorporate that.
3-6, any comments? Because obviously we spent a lot of time this meeting on the
Mhm.
plan.
This
We
is the
should,
first read through, yeah.
but let's try to keep it a lot tighter. So everybody send in your thoughts and comments and then we can go through draft 2. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anything else? We're adjourned.
Well,
Nope,
James
whoop.
did mention something for the agenda last.
What did you add?
That was earlier about, I think you got it.
Okay, bye.
How many customers we serve?
It was,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Yeah,
And,
we're
and
adjourned.
we have one little ad. We'll
It was
put
other
it.
water districts similar in size and rate.
yeah,
Okay,
great.
To basically show up like hard work.
right. I don't know if that's a